Hi. While editing the previous videos, I realized that I messed up the week a little bit, so I have to re record the introduction to a couple videos. Uh, Hi, welcome back to the CIPPE marathon. This is week 8, and in this particular video, I will be discussing how to go through chapter 1 to 3 of the IAPP book. Now, we had left out the history part, and that was because I said that we need to do it towards the end. I personally prefer it towards the end because history is a little bit boring to me. So, if I start with the history, I'll never build the momentum. But if you feel like history is something that you really enjoy, feel free to do it before. Now, when it comes to history, our manner of segregation of information changes. In history, we will have important dates, important organizations, EU systems, and miscellaneous. So, important dates is a timeline you're going to make. You can start with let's just say we are just talking strictly data privacy. You can start with Germany had their first data privacy act, and then Sweden had their first data privacy act, and then the OECD guidelines came along. This particular timeline is also given in the IAPP book, so you don't have to stress a lot about it. The idea is to just make a chronological order of dates so that you can just memorize it like a story. After you're done with dates, you are going to do important organizations. Important organizations will be relevant mostly when it comes to the EU. This will also mean important treaties, important organizations, and important laws. So, what you have to memorize is what are these laws about, how are they different from each other. I know that there were a lot of questions in the mock I gave between to distinguish between Convention 108 and GDPR. So, listing down each organization, listing down each and every law, and just giving key points of what they are about, maybe bullets, whatever works for you. And then you come down to important systems. Now, in important systems, we'll be studying how the EU works, because for people who are from South Asia or just not in general from the EU, this system is a little bit tricky to understand. For me personally, being able to relate it with the Indian system really helped a lot. So, for example, I viewed the European Parliament as Lok Sabha, and the Council of European Union as Rajya Sabha, and the European Council as cabinet benches, your executive benches. So, wherever you're from, you should be able to have some corollary to whatever these institutes are. This system will not only just include your European Commission, entire European I'm so sorry, a European system of governance, a European Union system of governance. This will also include discussing how the GDPR or any other laws are enforced. So that is why we have a specific book of systems. And then the miscellaneous is the same thing. If you think something is important, if something clicks, you put it there. For me, history was probably the most daunting task, and I have procrastinated it for a fair bit. One thing that I would say about this task, though, it makes memorization a lot easier. I've mentioned this before that history needs to be understood like a story, and laying out the history like the tools we are creating right now, whether that be notes, timelines, flashcards, they will help us understand the logical sequence of events. It's easier to understand why the GDPR was introduced if you understand what was lacking in the 1995 directive. It is easier to understand why NIS 2 directive was introduced if you understand what was lacking in NIS directive, the original one. So, this really gives you time to engage with the material and reduce the time you will take to cram things. And I think if you've understood this material once, I know very most people will say there's not much to understand in history, and I agree with you, right? But there is a little system that you can create in your head, especially when it comes to things like enforcement, when it comes to understanding what happens when someone actually breaches the GDPR. Who do I go to? Do I go to the supervisory authority? Do I complain to this person? If they don't respond, who do I go to? If the supervisory authority's judgment is not good enough, who do I go to? You would think that it's very, very obvious. It is intuitive that maybe you can complain to the organization. If they don't listen, you go to the supervisory authority. If that doesn't work out, you go to the EDPB. That's not correct. It's wrong. It's wrong. Go figure out why this is wrong. I hope I was not too loud there. Anyway, the point in this entire segment is that laying this information out, is going to help you, and it is going to keep it in your long-term memory. So don't underestimate this process. With this, there is no supplementary part to this video, because as it is, it's a little bit long. And I hope you have a great week ahead. Enjoy studying.